On a peaceful day in the city of Aldea, everything seemed calm. Right off the bat, a red-haired girl says she's finally found our protagonist. Grabbing the guy's arm, she tells him they need to get going. A little later, the same girl is rushing our MC again. Clearly exhausted, the kid just lets out a heavy sigh. Shortly after, in a bustling tavern, the scene repeats itself. This time a girl in a blue cloak approaches, saying she's finally found him. With a bit of charm, she invites our hero to her estate. Tired of this routine, the boy just takes a deep breath, but he quickly turns down the offer, claiming he's too busy today, leaving a blonde girl confused. Holding his arm tightly, the blonde complains, wanting to know why not today, since she's free. Almost in tears, she begs him to please come play with her. Completely clueless, our little MC wonders how the heck he ended up in this situation. To explain that, we need to go back in time a bit, to the middle of a dark forest, where two bandits get our newbie's attention. A bit nervous, the protagonist, Kai, agrees with the guys right away. Ready to hit the hay, the bandits tell him to keep watch, since the ransom for the hostages is high. As a final order, the leader tells him to beat up the hostages if they start screaming. But mentally, our boy knows the prisoners don't even have the strength for that. In the dark of night, he reflects alone on this bizarre situation. With his hands on his head, the kid tries to figure out how everything went so wrong. Suddenly, he remembers trying to save someone and getting hit by a truck. But inexplicably, he woke up later in this strange place. Looking up at the night sky, he realizes he knows this world all too well. Faced with the facts, the MC notices he's inside the fantasy game he was playing the other day. Near the bandit's tent, he figures out he was reincarnated right next to the bad guys. With a slight shiver, he laments his own bad luck. Just then, a noise from the cart catches our hero's attention. Getting closer, he finds an iron cage and is shocked. Inside it, the so-called hostages are actually 3 girls, trapped in the dark. From the game's story, the boy knows all the villains were wiped out, and being here is a terrible sign. Without a second thought, he decides the best option is to escape as fast as possible. In his own pockets, he finds a map and some cash for the road. Looking at the available routes, he concludes he can get out of there without any problems. However, before taking off, the kid takes one more look back. Carefully, he stealthily unlocks the iron cage. Speaking softly, he suggests all the prisoners escape with him. Inside, the 3 scared girls stare at the guy, while one of them looks very sick. Totally suspicious, the redhead asks if he's really talking about escaping. With a scowl, she accuses our MC of playing a sick joke to trick the group. In the same tone, the white-haired girl demands a good reason to trust him after everything. For a second, the guy stays silent, thinking of an answer. Seizing the opportunity, the redhead says he has nothing to say and that his plan failed. In a masterstroke, the kid makes up a story that he infiltrated the enemy ranks and apologizes for the delayed rescue. Even knowing he told a bold-faced lie, he understands that gaining their trust now is the priority. Hurrying the group, our hero warns that if they get caught, he's a goner. Sadly, the redhead reveals her leg is injured and she's in no condition to run. With a finger to her eyes, the platinum blonde confesses she's completely blind. To make matters worse, the little blonde girl named Remy is passed out and sick on the floor. Hopelessly, the redhead says that even if they escape, they'll just end up kicking the bucket on the way. At least knowing he's not an enemy is enough for her to be thankful. Hearing those words, our protagonist's heart sinks. At that moment, the little blonde girl groans in pain, reaching out her hand. In a very weak voice, the girl begs for her life, asking for help. Instantly, the MC's posture changes as he makes a decision. With a clenched fist, he flat out refuses to abandon the 3 of them. Promising to carry anyone who can't walk, he says that running is still better than staying. Shocked by his attitude, the girls ask what he's talking about. With the map in hand, the kid assures them he knows the area and that everything will be okay. Firm in his decision, he tells the other 2 to hold on to him. Lifting all 3 at once, the boy runs through the dark forest. During the run, he notices this new body is much stronger and more muscular than his old one. Shaking his head, he pushes the thoughts away and focuses on the escape. Relieved that no one is on their tail, our MC keeps moving forward. Then he starts mentally plotting the route using the map he grabbed earlier. On the hologram, he sees the city of Aldea, with the exact name he gave it in the game. With this advantage, he gains even more confidence. Without hesitation, the group continues on, knowing exactly where to go, until they find a hidden treehouse, and he celebrates the successful escape. Curious, the blind girl asks where they've ended up. With a smile, the kid reveals it's a secret hideout he created himself. Facing a magically locked door, he tries to remember the password. Asking the girls to wait a moment, the boy approaches the portal. With his hand on the magic seal, he types the keyword he used back in the game. Immediately, the door glows blue, granting safe entry for everyone. Inside, our hero confesses he didn't even think the place would actually be here. Without delay, he lays the little blonde on the bed to rest. Surprised, the redhead comments that he's definitely no ordinary agent. After all, building a treehouse in a place like this is surreal. Mentally, the guy agrees with her but plays it off, saying it was no big deal. Anxiously, the redhead asks if Remy will be okay, and the mood turns heavy. Suddenly, our MC remembers he should have left some items stored here. At that, the injured girl asks if there's anything to eat. Opening a wooden chest, he mutters, looking for something edible. Luckily for him, the system is just like the game, and several potions are intact inside. With the vials in hand, he announces he found medicine, but the redhead scolds him, saying a common potion won't save someone so weak. Calmly, he just hands her a glowing purple liquid. Unconcerned, the kid says it's not a normal remedy and should work. Immediately, the redhead's eyes widen as she recognizes the color of that liquid. On the inside, the protagonist realizes the item seems rare and remembers he never stored junk in his inventory. In the game, this potion cured absolutely everything, from health to poison, and was a pain to craft. With the vial in their hands, the two girls are in complete shock. By his count, the kid remembers he has over 100 of these and could get rich selling them. Totally incredulous, the redhead questions who he really is to have such a valuable item. With a smirk, our hero just sighs. Straight to the point, he advises them not to ask any more questions, for everyone's sake. Right after, he tells the other two to drink the potion as well. Turning his back, he jokes that he doesn't want to carry 3 people around anymore. Faced with the item, the platinum blonde still doubts if the legendary universal elixir is even real. Handing her another vial, the MC confirms he has one for her too. After taking a sip, the blind girl is amazed, unable to believe the effect. Near the bed, the guy compliments the little blonde's resilience and gives her the potion. Slowly, the magical liquid goes down the unconscious girl's throat. In the blink of an eye, her body glows intensely, signaling the cure was a success. Impressed by the practical effect of the magic, our hero lets out a sigh of relief. Opening her eyes, little Remy thanks him in a very weak voice. Carefully, the guy tells her to keep resting because the potion doesn't cure mental fatigue. Slowly, the magical light of the cure starts to fade from the room. As he gathers the empty bottles, the MC glances at the rest of the group. To everyone's surprise, the redhead and the platinum blonde are already on their feet, fully healed. With an eye on the prophet, the kid already imagines what a hefty reward he'll ask for when he gets them home. But the moment is interrupted by the two of them crying with joy at being able to see and walk again. A bit awkwardly, he comments that he doesn't know how long they'd been suffering with that. Out of respect, he decides to give them some space to process the miracle. The next day, the conversation flows, and the hero finds out they were kidnapped back in the city of Aldea. Right away, he notes that the place is more than 2 cities away. Scratching his head, the kid blurts out that the trip back is going to take a while. Annoyed, the redhead tells him to take it up with his buddies, since it's all their fault. Frustrated, the MC asks if anyone knows how to use teleportation, but the redhead says if they did, they would have been long gone. Embarrassed, our protagonist gives a sheepish laugh, agreeing with her logic. Checking his own stats, he laments being in the body of a low-rank hunter with nothing special, instead of his OP character. With the map open, the platinum blonde comments that only one person in history was capable of using teleportation magic. Hiding his disappointment, the MC agrees and quickly changes the subject. Facing the group, he asks how everyone is feeling today. With a sweet smile, the platinum blonde thanks him, saying she's still getting used to seeing again. A bit embarrassed, the redhead admits her leg is perfect and lets out a sincere thank you. Then the Hothid demands he stop calling her and introduces herself as the noble Karen. Following her lead, the platinum blonde reveals her name is Nina. Soon after, they remember the sleeping blonde is named Remy. With a bead of sweat rolling down, our hero freaks out internally over how hard it is to remember these fantasy names. Focused on the mission, he declares that the biggest problem now is getting the 3 of them back to their city. Confidently, Karen asks if he'll protect them from the villains, but he bursts her bubble, saying he can't guarantee anything. In shock, the girl fumes, wanting to know the reason for such a cold answer. With a dead serious look, the kid replies that in a real fight, there's no guarantee of victory. Deep down, he knows this isn't a game anymore and wants to avoid deadly confrontations at all costs, even if he knows the world. To better explain the situation, he reminds them that there's no way to know the number or strength of the enemies out there. To ensure everyone's survival, the main plan is to avoid trouble as much as possible. After all, everyone here only has one life, and if you're out, the game is over. Full of determination, he promises to do the impossible to escape without having to fight anyone. Blunt as always, Karen asks if he has some genius plan in mind. Laughing nervously, the guy confesses it's hard to answer when she puts so much pressure on him. Under the girl's judgmental gaze, he starts to break into a cold sweat, trying to compose himself. Regaining his posture, he guesses the kidnappers must be watching the city of Wafer. With his finger on the map, he explains that the bandits will think he fled to the nearest place. Therefore, the strategy is to go south through the forest to a camp and pay for a safe carriage. Worried, Karen points out that they're completely broke and can't pay for the trip. Patting his bag, the MC assures them he stole the bandits' cash and that they can even buy new clothes. Touched by his actions, Nina asks the real reason he's helping the group so much. Straight up, she lays it on the table that he used legendary elixirs and revealed secrets an agent would never tell. Caught red-handed by this logical deduction, our hero stammers, not knowing how to tell the truth. Completely cornered, the kid shamelessly makes up that he's an intelligence agent. To add credibility, he claims he's just following orders from above. At that exact moment, the little blonde starts to stir in the bed. Noticing the movement, the guy asks if the girl has finally woken up. In a sleepy voice, little Remy confirms but says it's a bit late. To change the subject, our hero stretches and suggests they wash up in the river at dusk. Promptly the platinum blonde says she knows how to use purification magic to clean everyone up. Being overly practical, the MC tells them to use it on Remy while he takes a bath alone in the water. Suspicious, the redhead finds it strange that a secret agent doesn't know how to use such a basic spell. Focused on his cover, he argues that using magic all the time attracts unwanted attention. Soon after, the girls use the spell to clean themselves in the room. Meanwhile, our hero relaxes, taking a warm bath in the river. With everyone clean, the group gathers around the fire to eat. Prepared for the journey, the guy dons a dark suit of armor from head to toe. Leading the group, he calls the girls to finally hit the road. A week later, the guards of Aldea City receive an urgent alert. At the main gate, the atmosphere seems very tense and busy, but to everyone's joy, the group arrives safe and sound at the city entrance. Recognizing the three noble girls, the guard sighs in relief to see them alive. Straight to the point, the redhead points out they owe everything to the armored knight. Full of gratitude, the soldier bows and thanks him deeply for the heroic rescue. He then asks the ladies to wait inside until their escort arrives. Curious, Nina turns to the MC and asks what he's going to do with his life now. Cool as a cucumber in his armor, he replies that he plans to stay in the city for a while. Blunt as always, Karen asks if he has any plans in mind. Butting in, the guard suggests the warrior must need to report his success to his superiors. Not missing a beat, the kid agrees and keeps up the lie to avoid trouble. After insisting a bit, the soldier invites the hero to receive a reward, but he refuses due to a lack of time. Behind his helmet, our little MC is exhausted and just wants a bed to sleep in. As a final warning, he tells the girls to follow orders and not let their guard down until they get home. With a smile, the redhead accepts the advice and thanks him once more for everything. In a gesture of affection, the hero pats Remy's head and says goodbye. Blushing, the little blonde just nods in agreement. After leaving the girls in the guard's hands, he turns his back and walks away. Desperate, the soldier tries to stop him to thank him properly but gets quickly shut down. Without looking back, the MC states he's just going to enter the city and disappear. Gently, the guard captain welcomes the mysterious stranger. Watching the warrior vanish into the crowd, the soldiers stand frozen. In complete shock, the captain mutters that the guy is unbelievable. With cold sweat dripping, he declares that the armored knight is a true monster. As justification, he reveals he used his appraisal skill and detected a high-rank item. To make matters worse, only 2 elite clans have managed to clear the dungeon where the item came from. From memory, the captain recalls that the guy took down the Red Freed Mafia all by himself, on top of rescuing 3 hostages without a single scratch and acting with pure caution. With so much evidence, the soldier is absolutely certain he's crossed paths with a legendary veteran. Indignant, one of the junior guards complains that the chief didn't even check the guy's ID. Livid, the captain cuts the rookie off, asking if he wants to treat a hero like a criminal. Firmly, he warns that they can't offend someone who saved the 3 most important girls in the region. At that moment, another soldier remembers that the guy handed out universal elixirs like they were water. Instantly, the captain's eyes go wide upon hearing about the legendary potion. As living proof, the guard reports that the noble's illnesses and fractures vanished on the spot. Impressed, the guy comments that the warrior gave away the rare items without a second thought. On edge, the guards admit the stranger's feat is pure insanity. Desperate about the situation, the chief orders an immediate report to high command and the guild. Without wasting time, the subordinates dash off to spread the news. After all, young Karen is the daughter of the most prestigious ducal house of the nobility. Meanwhile, the peaceful Nina carries the direct bloodline of the Holy Church's foundation. And little Remy is the heir to the biggest merchant leader on the continent. With the pieces falling into place, the captain deduces that the masked man was messing with the tycoons without fear. In addition to carrying divine items and refusing any reward as if it were nothing, in the captain's mind, there's only one explanation: the MC must be from the Empire's secret force. Far from all this commotion, our hero walks through the city, enchanted. Focusing on the details, he notices the streets are identical to the original game. From a distance, the kid already spots the imposing Hunters Guild building. Although he wants to explore everything, his body is at its limit from exhaustion. To top off the tense atmosphere, everyone on the street won't stop staring at the newbie. Bothered by a little boy staring intently at him, he wonders what the problem is. Naively, the MC thought he'd see a lot of people in heavy armor downtown, but he soon realizes his own rare gear is glowing and drawing way too much attention. Defeated by exhaustion, he decides to hurry to an inn. Out of nowhere, a little girl grabs his leg, shouting how cool he is. Totally lost, the armored knight freezes up in the middle of the street. Back at a luxurious mansion, a cry of relief echoes through the halls. In tears, the redhead's father sobs desperately, hugging his daughter. Losing her patience, the girl tells the old man to breathe and stop making a scene. In the heat of the moment, the father notices his daughter is walking perfectly and apologizes for the fuss. Smiling, Karen tells him her leg healed thanks to a universal elixir and does a little twirl to show off. With sparkling eyes, she reports that the mysterious man pulled out the legendary potion like it was the most normal thing in the world. Excitedly, she explains that the warrior handed over the item without hesitation and refused any reward. Intrigued by the story, the nobleman reads the report to confirm the facts. Suddenly, the redhead notices a new piece of information and questions if the hero acted on his own. Calmly, the father explains that he didn't send anyone, and that if he had an elixir like that, he would have used it on her long ago. Pondering, the girl concludes that the agent lied to calm the group during the escape. Analyzing the situation, the head of the family deduces the man is from intelligence because he knew about the Red Freed Mafia. To him, the knight had inside information about the crime syndicate, but the hero's mission was only to rescue the girls, and he must have broken his organization's rules. Determined to help, Karen's father decides to send an official letter of thanks to protect the savior. Scared, the redhead thinks this will draw too much attention and worsen the agent's punishment. Finally, she asks if her father knows which secret organization he belongs to. Seriously, he reveals he received a message 2 days ago stating that Red Freed had been captured. Following the map's route, the nobleman understands the hero went around Waffer to avoid the bandits. Without missing a beat, Karen points out the knight's tactical intelligence. Convinced of the facts, the father states that the savior's profile perfectly matches his suspicions. With a fixed gaze, he reveals that those responsible for capturing the mafia are from the Verdar Direct Control Squadron. In shock, the daughter repeats the name of the most feared imperial force of all. In practice, the Verdar group operates directly under the Empire's orders to maintain public order at any cost. Furthermore, there are rumors that the squadron is made up of the best hunters in the world. Basically, they are the elite of military power. Given this, the father concludes that the hero must hold a high rank and has a free pass for solo missions. For safety, he tells Karen to keep the secret so as not to expose the savior's identity. As a sign of gratitude, the Duke vows to return the favor, no matter the cost. Since the warrior disappeared into the city, he orders his daughter to call the maid, Lifia, to start the search. Hurriedly, the redhead agrees and runs out of the room. Left alone in the office, the nobleman reflects, sitting in his armchair. Deep down, he prays the knight as a strong pillar of Vertar so he won't face repercussions. By the rules of the power game, the Duke knows the other two families are also on the hunt for the masked man. The next day at the inn, the mood is completely tranquil. Eating a nice steak, the owner of the place thanks the young man for not causing any trouble. Striking up a conversation, the innkeeper mentions that the guy in the black armor was a well of politeness. Relaxing with his food, our MC listens to the guy praise his quiet demeanor, clueless to the truth. Taking advantage of the conversation, the owner asks if the kid comes from far away, and he nods. Out of the blue, a soldier shoves the tavern door open, getting everyone's attention. In a rush, the guard asks if anyone has seen a knight in black armor around here. At that very moment, the MC and the innkeeper look at each other, startled. Panicking, our hero mentally begs the owner to hide the truth. Cleverly, the owner lies straight to his face, saying he hasn't seen anyone and that the Duke is overacting. Suspicious, the guard presses him, asking again. Breaking a cold sweat, the owner plays it cool, and the MC thanks the gods for the old man's acting skills. Sighing in frustration, the soldier accepts the answer and thanks him for his cooperation. With the door closed, silence once again reigns in the inn. Just when the MC thought the nightmare was over, another person walks through the door. This time it's a nun from the Holy Church, asking about the black gear. With a quick shove, the old man tells the kid to hide behind the counter and makes up an excuse. Smiling sheepishly, he tells the nun he hasn't seen anyone like that around. Accepting the answer, she thanks him for his time and leaves. The door had barely closed when a soldier from the Merchant Council bursts in. Nearly in tears on the floor, our hero curls up behind the counter to avoid being seen. Once again, the innkeeper uses the same lame excuse to save the boy. Tired of the search, the guard says his goodbyes, lamenting his failure. Finally alone, the innkeeper calls out to the boy trembling under the counter. Terrified, the kid comes out of hiding, trying to process what just happened. With his hands on his head, the old man asks what crime he committed to have the three biggest powers in the city after him. Confused, the MC swears he doesn't know why and thinks he messed up without realizing it. Desperation hits, and the old man tells the boy to fix things quickly to prevent his tavern from being shut down. Trapped in this mess, our protagonist can only think about what to do to disappear off the map. Far away, Karen's older sister examines the redhead's feet to make sure everything is okay. Calmly, the girl says her leg doesn't hurt at all anymore, and that she's healed. Sitting on the bed, the Hothid thanks her for the care and confesses she'll miss their routine. Smiling, the older sister celebrates the improvement but feels an emptiness from the lack of their old habits. Changing the subject, Karen goes back to thinking about the masked warrior. Worried, she doesn't understand how such a conspicuous guy hasn't been found in the entire city. To her, the hero is actively trying to throw off the search. Pulling up a chair, the sister agrees and says their father thinks the same thing. In a low tone, the redhead voices her fear that the savior will be punished for using the legendary elixir. With her hands on her hips, she remembers that the knight tried to pretend the potion was from his personal stock. Apparently, the masked man tried to hide his connection to the organization at all costs. Sighing deeply, the redhead prays he doesn't receive any severe penalties. Joking a little, the sister points out it's rare to see Karen so worried and cute like this. Shrugging, the redhead argues that the hero rescued everyone by himself and deserves this affection. Red with embarrassment, she crosses her arms, complaining about her sister's teasing. In the redhead's view, the hero truly risked himself to save them all, even knowing the danger from his own organization. To top it off, Nina's and Remy's families said the same thing at the last minute. But Karen insists she's the one who thinks about the savior the most. Immediately, the sister laughs and teases the girl, saying it's definitely love. Meanwhile, at the inn, the owner tries to reassure the MC, stating he did nothing wrong. Despite the comfort, gossip is running rampant through the streets, and the search for the Black Knight only gets worse. Pointing out the facts, the old man swears no one but the boy himself could be the masked man. Feeling cornered, the MC wonders what the punishment would be if the rumors are true. In the worst-case scenario, the innkeeper states that the three families would ban the kid from the city forever. Full of pity, the man says that hiding the boy is weighing on his conscience, but advises against changing inns now. To make matters worse, the reward for turning in the hero has already hit 3 million at the city council. Startled by the amount, the kid shouts, asking why the old man hasn't turned him in yet. Laughing at his face, the owner explains that the three families are working under the table to avoid drawing attention. In the end, the old man suggests the MC put on his armor and sneak out to enjoy the festival. Defeated by mental exhaustion, our hero agrees and leaves the counter with his head down. Wishing him good luck, the owner tells him to enjoy the city while he can. Excited by the idea, the MC decides to enjoy the day before getting kicked out tomorrow morning. Walking through the streets, the kid watches the sunset, trying to find some silver lining in the situation. Suddenly, he spots the city's giant clock tower. In the past, he loved to climb this clock tower, always at the same time of day. Even knowing the entrance fee is a rip-off, he goes straight to the ticket booth. Determined to relive the memory, the boy climbs the floors, admiring the view. Reaching the top, surprise fills the air. The place should have been empty, but someone is already admiring the scenery. Dressed in black with a mysterious mask, an elegant woman waits in silence. Noticing the boy's presence, the red-haired woman turns around slowly. Fascinated by the woman's beauty, the MC is paralyzed. Stuttering a bit, he manages to just let out a simple "hello." Politely, the woman responds and welcomes him to the top of the tower. At that moment, the hero remembers a rumor from the game about a secret encounter with a woman in the clock tower. Cautiously, the kid keeps his distance, thinking it might be the game event. In a friendly manner, the masked woman praises the view, saying it's perfect for clearing one's mind. Agreeing, the hero admits the scenery is breathtaking. Curious, the woman asks the real reason the boy is in a place like this. A bit downcast, he confesses he needed to clear his head of some problems. Changing the focus, the lady asks if he knows the man who wears black armor. Swallowing hard, the MC gets scared, thinking he's been found out. With a nervous smile, he tries to play it cool, commenting that the masked man is the talk of the town. Sincerely, the woman admits she's also on the hunt for the hero and would love to meet him in person. Fearing some kind of trouble, the boy asks if the Black Knight did something wrong. Laughing, she swears he's not wanted for anything bad. Soon after, she explains that the authorities want to thank him, but the details are confidential. Relieved by the answer, the MC lets his guard down a bit. Just knowing he's not being hunted for punishment takes a huge weight off his shoulders. At that instant, a luxurious carriage pulls up at the base of the tower. Seeing the ride, the mysterious woman realizes her ride has just arrived. Curious, the MC asks if she has to leave already. Charmingly, the woman promises they'll soon make progress in the search and says her goodbyes. Descending the tower stairs, she leaves a trail of mystery in the air. Alone on the observation deck, our hero watches the woman leave. He then reflects for a second, having no idea who the masked woman was. Outside the tower, the woman gets into the carriage and finds Karen. In a hurry, the little redhead insists they should wear masks around the city to try and find the hero without drawing attention. But Karen's sister teases her, complaining she was just dragged along to be an extra in her crazy plan. Laughing at the situation, the masked woman apologizes for the sassy behavior. In the end, she admits she was just happy her sister came to pick her up at the tower. During the ride, the masked woman mentions she met a young man at the clock tower. Aware of the rumors, Karen thinks the stranger was scoping out the city's search efforts. Smiling, the woman assures her that while she was suspicious at first, the conversation was pleasant and without ulterior motives. For the masked woman, it was a special and very calm time talking with him. Being cautious, the woman asked about the Black Knight just to check. but the boy knew nothing. Disappointed, Karen laments that her father thinks the hero has already left the city. Out of nowhere, the masked woman remembers a striking detail about the young man from the tower, and the redhead freezes. Curious, she wants to know exactly what the guy her sister met looked like. Describing him well, the woman remembers he was a charming young man with a very calm air and a scar on the left side of his face. Immediately Karen shouts, stating that the Black Knight also had that same scar. Without a second thought, the redhead throws open the carriage window in desperation. Yelling at the driver, she orders the carriage to head straight back to the clock tower. Startled, the sister asks if the girl is sure about her crazy deduction. Shocked, the redhead connects the dots and realizes there's a huge chance the stranger is the hero in disguise. Indignant for not being told sooner, she explains that the scar was a secret between her and her father. Perplexed, the sister realizes the weight of the information. At high speed, the carriage pulls a sharp U-turn on the deserted street. As fast as they can, the two get out of the cabin and run towards the clock tower. Full of hope, they wish to arrive in time before the boy disappears. Desperately, the two arrive at the top of the tower, out of breath. To the little redhead's dismay, the terrace is completely empty because the boy has already left. In another corner of the city lies the headquarters of the Treasure Hunters Guild. Inside, the guild master is freaking out because he has no information about the Black Knight. Reading the report, he confirms that the masked man is most likely from the Imperial troop Vertar. All by himself, the hero not only saved the daughters of the three biggest local families but also wiped out the mafia. Analyzing the situation, the leader points out that kidnapping such important nobles is almost a direct attack on the empire. Given this chaos, it makes total sense for Vertar itself to be sent to solve the problem. To worsen his anxiety, the master complains that no one in the city can get in touch with the knight. In an act of desperation, the leader even begs his subordinates to accidentally bump into the guy just to start a conversation. Ironically, even that plan failed because the hero helped a little girl who bumped into him and just kept walking. Speechless, the spies could only thank him and watch the guy disappear into the crowd. Defeated, the leader sighs and just wants the hero to return to the capital as soon as possible to avoid problems. Suddenly, the office door is thrown wide open by the receptionist. In a panic, the girl announces that the masked man just entered the guild. Thinking it's a joke, the master tells the receptionist to give it a rest. But looking at the open door, he realizes it's serious. In the main hall, the imposing black armor draws the attention of all the hunters. At that moment, the leader runs out to greet the distinguished visitor. Behind him, the receptionist nearly dies laughing at the chief's change in attitude. Trying to hold back their laughter, the hunters comment on how bizarre the master's polite demeanor is. Sweating profusely, the leader asks the reason for such an important member's visit. Hiding his nervousness, the MC says he just came to check the place out. Quickly, the master welcomes him and thanks him for his presence with a smile. Mentally, he's already imagining 1,000 conspiracy theories for that. Check the place out. Confused, the hero wonders if he said something wrong to scare the chief. With open hands, the leader tries to clear up the misunderstanding, assuring him everything is fine. In the master's head, checking the place out means reconnaissance disguised as a visit. In milliseconds, he deduces it's not worth bluffing against someone so powerful. Long story short, the guild leader thinks he's dealing with a next-level strategic monster. As a huge fan, he remembers always dreaming of joining Vertar but never being strong enough. Now, with the living legend in front of him, he understands the absurd power difference. Maintaining his composure, the leader invites the masked man to his office if he wants to look around. The kid accepts right away, thinking it's the guild's normal procedure. As they go up the stairs, the entire hall gossips about the visit. At the tables, the hunters waste no time and start chatting away. To most of the tavern crowd, the whole situation is just theatrics and exaggerated gossip. But some members notice the hero's demeanor is too calm for someone dangerous. Besides, the warrior was walking with his guard down as if waiting for someone to attack first. Reaching the conclusion that such a relaxed hunter could obliterate anyone, they get the chills. Cowering, the members assume that in a hand-to-hand fight, the entire guild wouldn't stand a chance. Deep down, they wonder if the masked man is strong enough to fight an S-rank beast. Far from it, the protagonist laments that the guild's own people are spreading even more absurd legends. Inside, he feels that with every step, his lie gets bigger and more uncontrollable. After the quick visit, the guild master personally sees the knight off at the door. Sweating buckets from nervousness, the hero decides never to set foot in that place again. Venting, he says he thought the guild would just probe him for information, but the atmosphere was bizarre. Recalling the moment, he trembles because of the murderous and frightened looks from everyone inside. Worse yet, he can't understand why the guild master was so polite instead of rude like in the original game. Unknowingly, he questions why the heck he ended up getting VIP treatment from the hunters. Despite the scare, the trip was interesting enough to get to know the city and relieve his boredom. Determined to continue his walk, the kid takes a firm step onto the street. But walking among people in such flashy armor ruins any peaceful tourism. Suddenly, he hears the sound of a carriage stopping right behind him. Darting out the door, Karen points her finger in the hero's face, celebrating that she found him. Paralyzed, he realizes the carriage's crest belongs to the Hothid's noble family. Without hiding her irritation, the redhead demands an explanation, asking where he's been hiding. Pointing to the side, he confesses he spent all this time at the inn downtown. Shocked, she complains that the old man at the tavern lied to her face about not having seen the Black Knight. With a mischievous smile, the MC admits he asked the innkeeper for that small favor. Instantly deflating, Karen is speechless at being duped by a tavern owner. Trying to get out of it, the masked man suggests he's good at hiding. Annoyed by the joke, the girl grumbles that she doesn't want to hear any more lame excuses. Soon after, a sweet, feminine voice from inside the carriage gets the redhead's attention. By the tone of voice and the hair color, our hero recognizes the person immediately. Stepping out of the vehicle, the mysterious woman from the clock tower officially introduces herself as Lifia. Without her mask, she apologizes for the delay and thanks him once again for the rescue. Kindly, she asks if the knight might have some free time now. Already imagining a headache, he questions what will happen if he accepts the invitation. Quick on the draw, the redhead says the idea is for him to go straight to the mansion to receive a formal thank you. Curtly, the kid replies that he's busy and declines the invitation on the spot. Despite his heroism, the MC feels that if he slips up in front of the nobility, he could even end up executed. Noticing his hesitation, the two sisters chuckle, sensing the guy's nervousness. Not taking no for an answer, Karen grabs his hand by force. Blushing all over, she insists that at least this time, he let the family properly express their gratitude. Forcefully, Karen hugs the armored arm, dragging the warrior toward the carriage. Completely surrendered, the MC gets into the vehicle, accepting his fate. On the way, the redhead smiles proudly for finally capturing the runaway hero. But the kid feels like he was literally arrested and taken into custody. Grateful for the help, Lifia states that the rescue saved not only their lives, but also the duchy's reputation. Resigned, the guy agrees, thinking that all the confusion finally makes sense. Changing the focus, Karen points her finger and says she needs to clear up a serious doubt. Hidden in his helmet, the MC mentally complains about her formal and intimidating tone. Losing her patience, the redhead loses her composure and goes back to yelling like always. With a quick nod, the hero tells the girl to just spit out what she wants. Straight to the point, she asks if he wasted a bunch of legendary potions for nothing during the rescue. Full of guilt, she thinks he disappeared from the city because he got into trouble with his organization. Reassuring the girl, the warrior guarantees the items were his and there's no trouble at all. Surprised, Lifia's eyes widen as she confirms the magic potions are real. Worried, the redhead questions if hoarding such a great treasure for himself isn't dangerous. Anxiously, Karen asks the hero to explain the situation better and how he got the items. Inside, the kid freaks out, not knowing how to come up with an excuse to get out of the conversation. Cornered, he realizes he needs to convince the two that everything is perfectly fine. As a last resort, the hero says he has no regrets and what matters is that her leg is healed. With a charming tone, he tells her to enjoy life and let him handle his own problems. Immediately, the little redhead turns as red as a tomato, and silence fills the carriage. Lifia is also impressed and thanks him once again for his kind words. Changing the mood, the MC raises a finger and asks them for a small favor. Attentively, the two stare at the knight, waiting for the mysterious request. Outside, the luxurious carriage crosses the streets, heading towards the Duke's mansion. Seriously, the guy asks the girls to intervene if he's rude in front of their father. Completely shocked, Karen's eyes widen, not understanding the reason for such a simple request. In disbelief, the redhead shouts that he gave her a legendary potion and doesn't even want money in return. To justify himself, he lies, saying he's just a commoner and is terrified of offending nobles. Deep down, our hero knows that ensuring his own life and not getting executed is the greatest reward possible. Silently, the two sisters look at each other, processing the stranger's lame excuse. To Lifia, hiding a noble identity behind such a basic fear is very suspicious. From the way he dodged the question, she thinks the excuse was poorly crafted on purpose. Even so, the older sister agrees to the request and promises to help. As for Karen, she crosses her arms, guaranteeing that her father would never get mad at the family's savior. Politely, Lifia also agrees to cover for any of his slip-ups during the meeting. Joking about the situation, the redhead asks if he plans to keep his helmet on the whole time. With a hand on the back of his neck, the warrior admits it would be very rude not to show his face. Laughing, Karen clarifies that she doesn't mind the armor but would love to see his face without protection. Blushing at her own comment, the Hothid gets a scolding from her sister for being so indelicate. Surprised by the argument, the hero just watches the two bicker. On the other side, Lifia smiles, pleased with the light interaction between her sister and the savior. In the woman's mind, the masked man is the most sincere and noble man she has ever met. To her, the excuse about the armor and the cowardly commoner is just an act to maintain his secret organization's cover. Faced with so much modesty and strength, she doesn't judge her younger sister for clearly having a crush on him. From Lifia's experience, the more fame a hero gains, the prouder he becomes. Not to mention that the people around them soon fill with envy over others' success. Almost always, warriors start flaunting gold and power to show off their status. But that knight in front of her faced a deadly mafia and remains incredibly humble. Feeling an unpayable debt, she admires how the guy doesn't exploit the family's vulnerability. To break the ice, Karen confesses she's starting to get very nervous about the visit. Seizing the opportunity, the warrior teases the redhead, calling her not cool for being tense. Furious, she points her finger and shouts that she's not scared, just nervous about the preparations. Laughing at her younger sister's outburst, Lifia enjoys the comical scene. In the older sister's view, the secret agent provoked the girl on purpose to ease the tension. As the Duke's daughter, Karen always had to deal with fake nobles and boring politicians. Due to the age difference, many ladies also isolated her at social events. To make matters worse, guys only approached her out of pure interest in a future power marriage. Isolated, the redhead never had a real friend to act like a normal girl her age. In the end, the other nobles just walked right by without paying the poor girl any attention. Happy with the situation, Lifia loves seeing the hero put up with her sister's antics with good humor. Unable to stand the boredom, the redhead grabs her sister by the arm, demanding they hurry back home. Quietly on the seat, our MC just sighs, following the two's mess. In the noblewoman's mind, he hid his own power and rode in a carriage, just so as not to tarnish the Duke's honor. Furthermore, he gave away an extremely rare medicine capable of buying entire cities without asking for a single cent. Totally enchanted, the woman doubts there's another man with such a pure heart in the world. With her cheeks flushed, she already starts to devise a plan to keep the warrior close. Practically, Lifia asks how long the knight plans to stay in the city. Smiling charmingly, she offers a luxurious house in case he wants to live there. Sincerely, the MC praises the city but says his stay will depend on his own mood. To the noblewoman, this vague answer means he depends on missions from his secret organization. Reflecting, she knows that as long as that knight continues to fight in the shadows, the entire empire will be safe. Mesmerized by the hero, the woman wonders if it's too selfish to want to keep him in the city. But deep down, the strong feeling her sister has for him is contagious. Unaware of the size of the problem, our little MC just tries to stay comfortable on the carriage seat. Arriving at the ducal mansion, the grandeur of the place impresses anyone. Without delay, the knight opens the carriage door for the ladies. In the main courtyard, dozens of servants and soldiers form a corridor to welcome them. Confused by the grand reception, the kid wonders what the heck is going on. Overjoyed, Lifia explains that this is the family's ultimate show of respect. Desperate with the attention, the guy almost loses his tough guy pose. Hiding his panic, he warns that all this fuss will attract unwanted attention. With a confident smile, Lifia promises that anyone who has a problem with it will have to deal with the guards. Swallowing hard, the MC accepts the parade, fearing the punishment for those who don't show respect. By the rules of nobility, he knows he can't refuse the escort if he wants to get out of there alive. Suddenly, the head maid and the captain of the guard kneel on the stone floor. Bowing their heads, they express their honor at the black hero's visit. Quickly, the old housekeeper stands up, announcing that the masters are waiting in the main hall. With a slight curtsy, Lifia thanks the escort and says the two of them will go change. Joking, she says she'll wait in the other room in case the MC needs that little help they agreed on. Seriously, the younger sister agrees to act quickly if their father freaks out. Alone at the entrance with the guards, the kid starts to sweat bullets again. In the blink of an eye, the captain approaches to guide the visitor. Courteously, the soldier asks to hold the warrior's black sword for security. Surprised by the quick handover of the weapon, the guard asks if the knight is sure. To lighten the mood, our hero says it's normal to remove weapons inside a noble's house. In fact, he confesses he's much more dangerous fighting without a sword than with one. Shocked by the declaration, the servant's eyes go wide in complete disbelief. Terrified, the captain swallows hard, realizing the masked man's monstrous confidence. Under the helmet, the MC isn't kidding and speaks with total seriousness. Back when he was a player, he was reincarnated in the body of a guy with absurd physical abilities. Due to his abnormal reflexes, using any weapon always broke his fighting rhythm. As a result, he feels his bare hands are 1,000 times better for crushing enemies. Far from this analysis, the captain can only see the stranger as a true lord of the dead. Continuing on, the old maid leads the armed monster through the corridors. In front of the main hall door, the kid's heart pounds. With his hand on the doorknob, he prays the meeting ends quickly and without bloodshed. Meanwhile, in the courtyard, the captain of the guard can't take his eyes off the black sword. According to the game's system, the divine blade never breaks and cuts through anything. Seizing the moment, the guard teases Karen, saying she can hold the weapon under his supervision. Excited, the little redhead runs like a hurricane towards the soldier. Anxiously, the little noble jumps, wanting to test the savior's legendary sword. Utterly mesmerized, she focuses her eyes on the dark, polished metal. Full of joy, she demands the captain show her the weapon at once. Smiling at the girl, the guard displays the blade, which looks like a sharpened jewel. Curious, Karen finds the sword too beautiful and doubts its durability in combat. Fascinated, the captain agrees but highlights the sword's work of art appearance. Glistening in the sunlight, the black metal hypnotizes the two of them in the courtyard. With a hand on her chin, Lifia tries to guess the fighting style of a warrior who doesn't use heavy armor. To the older sister, the stranger must be a tactical master who values speed over brute force. Distracted by the conversation, Karen reaches out to hold the divine sword. In that same millisecond, the item's unreal weight catches the girl by surprise. Startled, the captain tries to help, seeing the girl fall forward. With no strength at all, the little noble loses her balance, and the blade plummets to the ground. Like a hot knife through butter, the sword goes right through the courtyard stone. For a moment, the entire staff freezes at the sound of the clean cut. Incredulous, Karen stammers, not knowing what to do with the bizarre scene. Shocked, the captain and Lifia scream upon seeing the stone cut in half without any effort. With her own eyes, the older woman understands that any armor would be useless against this weapon. Trembling, the captain remembers the masked man said he hit harder with his bare hands. Immediately, the soldier runs to check if the young lady was cut in the accident. Stuttering and terrified, he vows to explain to the master that it was all his fault, not hers. Inside the mansion, the meeting in the main hall is underway, accompanied by fancy tea. At the hall door, the two sisters listen quietly. Inside, the Duke's booming voice resonates, deeply thanking the mysterious hero for his help. Surprised, Karen notices her father's tone of voice is much more humble than usual. Shaking her head, Lifia agrees and explains the obvious reason. Just by listening through the door, they realize that even the all-powerful lord has bowed to the masked man. Due to his political position, the Duke always needs to appear superior to avoid showing weakness. With a hand on her chest, the older sister sighs, seeing her father's power crushed by gratitude. Completely deflated, Karen feels sorry for her family having to bow their heads because of the kidnapping. But suddenly, the door creaks and the reflective mood goes down the drain. Peeking through the crack, Lifia asks if her sister still has time to whine. Confused, the little redhead doesn't understand the reason for her older sister's lecture. Dry and direct, Lifia reminds her that the girl just destroyed the mansion's stone courtyard. As reality sinks in, Karen freezes, remembering she ruined the duchy's main walkway with someone else's sword. Crying in despair, she grumbles that now her father is really going to kill her because of the mess. Pointing a finger, the sister warns that she also broke the trust of the captain, who allowed her to hold the weapon. Yelling softly, the redhead freaks out because no one told her the sword was so sharp and heavy. Laughing at the tragedy, Lifia just watches her sister cry rivers of tears in front of the hall. Trying not to laugh at the situation, the sister asks Karen to stop complaining. After all, she's healed now and has the rest of her life to enjoy the good things. Excited by the idea, the girl promises to have a lot of fun with her new legs. With a sweet smile, Lifia watches her little sister's excitement. Nodding, Karen agrees and seems much calmer now. Changing the subject, the older woman points out that the hero tried to hide his own power. If the emperor finds out about the use of the legendary elixir, the warrior could be in huge trouble. Because of this sacrifice, Karen promises to reward the masked man in the best way possible. Curious, Lifia remembers a very strange detail from the report and shares her doubt. According to her, the guy refused rewards and acted as if the rescue was something super normal. In real life, a duke's rewards would catch the eye of any common person. With money, land, or power, no one would dare refuse a payment from the nobility. Totally focused, the sister says she just wants to see his face again. Jealous, Karen shouts, saying she'd rather be the only one who doesn't see the MC's face. Laughing, Lifia teases her, calling the younger one jealous for wanting the warrior all to herself. Trying to defend herself, the little redhead says she saw a scar on the savior's eye during the rescue. Suddenly, the older sister understands perfectly the reason for the obsession. Immediately, Karen scowls, denying she feels anything deep for the stranger. With the room in silence, the two exchange a look loaded with soup, opera tension. Totally nervous, the younger one insists it's just pure gratitude and nothing more. While the girl's confusion was running wild, the meeting in the adults' room was tense. Drinking her tea, Karen prayed her father wouldn't scare the savior away. In the main hall, the atmosphere was far from pleasant, and pressure dominated the room. Sweating profusely, the Duke and his wife stared at the giant in armor with pure dread. Before them, the Black Knight sat motionless, without moving a single muscle. Not understanding the warrior's posture, the nobleman wondered why he wasn't demanding anything. In the Duke's view, the stranger was acting modestly on purpose so as not to offend the family. Out of consideration, the hero showed not even the slightest sign of wanting to call in his due favors. Besides saving his daughters, the Lord feared the agent was testing the nobility's honor. After all, the Duke was in no position to refuse any request from the masked man. Knowing Verdar's connection to the Empire, the Lord understood the kid was part of the country's elite. Basically, the knight had enough backing to break any politician in half. Expressing nothing through his armor, the hero sent chills down the duchy's rulers. Sweating on the sofa, the wife quietly suggests they might be in a loyalty test. Thinking fast, the father finds it dangerous to treat the visitor without any formality. Stuck in this tight spot, the Duke starts to devise 1,000 4D chess theories. Cornered, he sees the warrior's silence as an ultimatum from the shadows. To make matters worse, the Lord deduces that if the masked man leaves the house without a prize, the entire family would be disgraced. Suddenly, the knight adjusts his posture on the seat, his armor clanking, and the atmosphere freezes. Terrified, the Duke thinks his guest has finally lost his patience. Immediately, the Lord understands there's no room for error in this negotiation. Using the sacred elixir as an excuse, the Lord finally takes the lead to offer payment. Polite and direct, the Duke begins by saying the family is immensely honored. Full of fear, he apologizes for the delay in offering a reward worthy of the hero. Sighing in relief internally, our MC just agrees to end the meeting. Smiling, the Duke's wife says the reward is a source of pride for the entire noble house. Totally relieved, the Lord begins to list the terms of payment for the rescue. Holding up 3 fingers, he offers a private mansion, a lot of money, and the duchy's political support. Caught by surprise, the kid loses his composure and chokes, unable to believe the absurd prizes. At the table, the authorities humbly ask the Black Knight to accept the small token. In the Lord's head, offering a secret base of operations to an Empire agent is a masterstroke. This way, the duchy also gains favor points directly with the Emperor's soldiers. Delighted with the fortune, the warrior accepts the package on the spot, and the deal is sealed. With a victorious little smile, the Duke concludes he passed the invisible loyalty test. With the tension finally broken, the Lord suggests his daughters show him the new mansion today. Happily, the MC agrees and vows to take care of the luxury property. Quickly, the Duke's wife tells the guards to call their daughters to accompany the guest. Standing up with poise, the lady asks the knight to follow the corridor and be guided to the visitor's room. Awkwardly, our MC just nods, slipping out quietly. When the giant door closes, the silence in the main hall weighs a ton. With his hands shaking horribly, the Duke sinks into his chair, relaxing his tense body. Wiping the sweat from his forehead, he expresses his relief after surviving that meeting. As a final word, he mutters, agreeing with his daughter that the warrior is indeed out of the ordinary. At the door next to them, the masked man stretches his arms, letting out all the nervous air trapped in his chest. Surprised by his relaxed attitude, Karen points a finger, noting his funny dejection. Hiding his embarrassment, the kid jokes that the armor hides emotions well. Gently, Lifia invites the guy to have some tea and rest from the bizarre meeting with their parents. Back to business, the redhead complains about the guy's lack of emotion when he won 3 mega rewards. Annoyed, she thinks he could have at least faked a little smile when he became the owner of a villa and a millionaire. With his legs up, the MC holds back from telling her that internally, he almost had a heart attack from happiness. Behind the helmet, the boy mentally confesses that receiving this mountain of money out of nowhere is just too bizarre. In reality, he admits that if he were alone, he'd be doing cartwheels of joy. Not losing focus, the older sister joins the conversation, wanting to clarify one last point about the reward. Sincerely, she says that if the prize isn't enough, now is the time for the hero to ask for anything else from the duchy. With a sly smile, he finds it incredible that his pockets are already full, and he has a mansion to call his own without needing anything else. Back to his calm demeanor, the warrior tries to hide his joy so as not to lose his serious agent persona. Changing the subject, Karen wants to know if donating one of the mansions is a big deal for the family. Smiling calmly, Lifia replies that the duchy has several villas, and this one has no sentimental attachment. Bothered, the redhead grumbles that the new house is way too big for one person to live in alone. Compared to the family's main mansion, the villa isn't far behind in size. Startled by the information, the kid realizes the level of luxury of the little gift. In his imagination, only a crazy noble would give away a property of that level as a thank you. Maliciously, the redhead teases, asking if he plans to have anyone else live with him in the mansion. Hidden in his helmet, the MC laughs nervously, assuring them he will use the house only as a personal base. To Lifia, it's super normal for a famous hero not to have a wife or a steady partner. Curious, the younger sister bluntly asks if the black hero has any romantic interests at the moment. Blushing with embarrassment, Lifia interrupts her sister for asking such an intimate question. Breaking the mood, the warrior tells the girls to visit the villa whenever they want so the house doesn't feel empty. Excited, Karen's eyes widen with joy at the official invitation. Without a second thought, the MC even promises to give them a spare key so they can come in when he's not there. Focused on his own plans, the warrior knows that having the girls around is the best distraction for curious onlookers. Over the moon, the redhead vows to torment his patients every single day. Full of initiative, Lifia immediately suggests a visit right now to see the place. Arriving at the property, the doors open to reveal a huge, well-kept garden. Inside, the floor shines like a mirror, showcasing high-end furniture in every corner. In the kitchen, everything was already perfectly clean and ready to use. In the dining hall, luxurious chandeliers add the final touch to the millionaire villa's decor. With a gentle smile, the older sister reinforces that everything inside is a gift with no strings attached. Awestruck by the details, the MC enters the luxurious bedroom, admiring the size of the room. Bothered by the silence, Karen tells the hero to just say if he likes the house or not. Politely, he agrees, thanking them for their consideration, but says he'd rather sit on the floor. In his view, using those fancy sofas with heavy armor would be disrespectful. Sighing deeply, the redhead asks if he doesn't want to sit just because he's stubborn or to avoid dirtying the furniture. Retorting instantly, he says he's just not tired enough to want to rest right now. Pouting, the girl huffs and says the guy is being very annoying by refusing comfort. Complaining nonstop, she brings up the favor of him using that super expensive medicine just to please the warrior. Deep down, the boy understands that ignoring a noble's request in her own house would look very bad. Suddenly, the redhead has a brilliant idea and runs over to him. Pulling his armored arm, she suggests sitting on the armor's lap since the sofa won't do. Silently, Lifia just observes her younger sister's genius. Defeated by mental exhaustion, the kid gives in and accepts the bizarre proposal. Quickly, the girl settles onto the hero's metal leg, surprising the guy himself. Squeezed between stubbornness and etiquette, he tries to maintain his serious agent posture. Curious, the redhead pokes him, asking what he's thinking about so intently. Trying to deflect, the MC jokes that the hard armor isn't the softest place to sit. Across the room, Lifia laughs at the comical scene, finding it all very cute. Teasing the hero, the older woman jokes that Karen is very lucky to get his lap. Blushing, the younger one scolds her sister, stating she didn't ask for his lap, and it was all a sacrifice for etiquette. Regaining focus, she points at the warrior, demanding he take off his armor to get comfortable. With no chance of removing his helmet, the kid uses the classic excuse that he needs to be ready for any emergency. In reality, he mentally admits that taking off the gear now would be shooting himself in the foot. If Lifia sees the guy's face, she'll instantly figure out he was the guy from the clock tower. Pulling his hand back, the MC decides the best defense is a good offense. Carefully, he places his metal glove on the little redhead's head, giving her a clumsy pat. Furious, the girl stomps her foot, telling him to stop with the childish affection. Ignoring her complaints, the hero just says she won't stop talking in his ear. Changing the tone of the conversation, Karen praises her father's courage in leaving two daughters in an isolated place with him. In theory, the Duke had a million reasons not to trust the stranger. Confirming the deduction, Lifia explains that the Lord blindly trusts the agent's savior instincts. From the knight's upright attitude, the Duke was certain he is a man of utmost trust. Impressed by the Lord's intelligence, the MC realizes he's not dealing with amateurs. Shrugging, the redhead points out that the hero threw the universal elixir in their faces, proving he has no financial interest. Agreeing, the masked man lets out a sigh and accepts the trust placed in him. Seizing the opportunity, Lifia formally invites the warrior to dinner at the main mansion. Promptly, the boy ruthlessly declines, earning a confused frown from Karen. Internally, he fears the next meeting with the Duke, thinking he might offend the Lord again. Awkwardly, the MC beats around the bush, saying things are very complicated with his secret work. Trying to ease the tension, Lifia tells her sister not to press the busy black hero too much. Hopeful, the little redhead asks that he at least stay in the city as long as possible. Besides the dinner, there's the fact that Nina and Remy are still relentlessly hunting for him. Remembering the hostages, the knight freezes upon learning that more people from the noble council are snooping around. In the middle of the conversation, Lifia makes a mysterious signal to her sister without saying anything. Curious, Karen asks what's with the weird gesture, making the older one embarrassed. Pure deflection, the woman swears it was nothing. Spilling the beans, the redhead tattles that her sister wanted to lift the hero's visor to peek at his face. Immediately, the MC backs away, scared by their invasion plan. Laughing at her sister's face, Karen says she pretends to be proper, but has a lot of nerve. Furious, Lifia demands the younger one get off the warrior's lap right now. Firmly, the knight rests his hand on the girl's waist, not letting her get up. Surprised by his action, she teases her older sister, calling her jealous while enjoying the moment. Noticing the provocation, the MC analyzes Lifia's face, trying to find a trace of jealousy. Quickly, he warns the noblewoman that she shouldn't try to lift his visor in such an invasive way. Suddenly, the woman yanks her hand away with force, startling her younger sister. Seething with anger, Karen shouts, demanding to know why he let go of Lifia and not her. Justifying his action, the kid claims the older sister is a beautiful adult, and he doesn't want to give society the wrong idea. Agreeing with the hero, Lifia mentions she receives many marriage proposals from the nobility. With a playful smile, she points out she's still single despite so many suitors. Curious, the MC comments that it's a big surprise someone so amazing is single. Laughing, the noblewoman says men fall in love but run away in shame because of her lack of forwardness. Apparently, the woman is so stunning that guys can't keep their composure around her. In reality, Lifia is very needy for affection, and when guys get close, she ends up scaring off her prey. Breaking the mood, the little redhead tells her sister to shut up, because the conversation is getting too embarrassing. Seizing the opportunity, the older sister nudges Karen, telling her to get off the guy's lap. Totally confused, the younger one doesn't understand the reason for the sudden scolding. Immediately, the redhead gets off the sofa and runs away in pure embarrassment, leaving the warrior free. Raising his hands, the hero lets out a sigh of relief for no longer being caught in the trap. Surprised by her own reaction, Karen tries to hide her panic without looking at the knight, but deep down, she peeks out of the corner of her eye to see her sister's face. Soon after, Lifia holds her younger sister's hand, teaching her she needs to be less aggressive to win someone over. In complete shock, Karen has never seen her sister act so freely and lovingly like that. With the matter settled, the family says their goodbyes, leaving the brand new villa for the hero. Formally, Lifia thanks the warrior for his time and wishes him a great stay in his new base. Before leaving, the woman says the official ducal furniture will arrive in 3 days. Taking the opportunity, she schedules a new meeting to discuss the villa's security and paperwork. Getting the message, the MC agrees, and the younger sister lowers her head, blushing with embarrassment. With a shy wave, Karen tells him to take care until their next meeting. Wishing the same, the warrior advises the girl to go straight home and not scare her parents. In the blink of an eye, the redhead pulls her sister, dragging the woman out the door. Quickly, the villa's double doors slam shut, closing the hero's crazy day. Outside, the family's luxurious carriage departs, leaving the warrior alone in his secret base. Waving at the carriage, the MC sighs in relief for having survived Hurricane Karen. Immediately, the warrior takes off his helmet, revealing the boy's sweaty and tired face. Free from the weight on his shoulders, he celebrates the chance to finally relax without being watched. Far away, inside the carriage, the two sisters laugh to themselves about the whole act they put on. Sincerely, Karen confesses she wanted to stay and torment the masked man a little longer. Sighing, Lifia agrees and teases her younger sister, saying the guy called her beautiful. Joking, the older sister also notes that he used her first name and not her noble title. Apparently, the savior hero ignored all rules of etiquette to speak like a normal person. Maliciously, Lifia accuses the redhead of sitting on his leg just to peek at his hidden face. Defending her actions, Karen reminds her that the guy saved her life, so the least she can do is give him a headache. Full of herself, she says that if he survived her, he can survive any challenge from Verdhar. Thoughtfully, the older sister confesses her greatest desire was also to see the savior's face. Joking, she says she'll draw his face when she gets to the mansion to satisfy her sister's curiosity. In a terrible sketch, Lifia imagines a bizarre monster with spiky hair. Annoyed, Karen criticizes her sister's awful art, claiming she draws 1,000 times better. Deep down, the redhead's gaze drifts, losing track of the conversation. Suddenly, the memory of the boy from the clock tower invades the girl's mind. Silently, Lifia notices her younger sister's mood shift and gets worried. Concerned, she tries to call Karen back to reality. Startled, the girl blinks a few times, snapping out of the crazy trance. Immediately, the hero's charming face and the scar on his eye are fixed in the redhead's memory. Hiding a smile, Karen no longer has any doubt about his identity. In love, she murmurs about how the masked man likes to play with her heart. Figuring out the riddle, Lifia confirms that the guy from the clock tower was really the hero in disguise. Confidently, the redhead affirms it with all the certainty in the world. Thoughtfully, the younger one asks if her sister thinks the meeting at the tower was just a coincidence. Cleverly, Karen deduces he wanted to throw off the spies by blending his armor with the guards downtown. In her mind, he already knew the Duchy's carriage would show up at the tower to pick her up. Following the logic, the stranger set everything up to see if her leg had truly healed. Melting, she sighs, calling the super secret agent an extremely kind person. By the girl's reasoning, the warrior used the divine elixir without his boss's permission, just to save her leg. To not weigh on the group's conscience, the guy chose the perfect words, telling them to forget about any debts. Analyzing everything, Lifia concludes that this attitude of erasing favors is the mark of someone truly strong. Besides healing their wounds, the woman thinks he was watching over the city against the mafia from a distance. Impressed, the noblewoman wonders how he managed to do all that without raising any suspicion in the city. Quietly, the woman reflects that every time she thinks about the masked man, he seems like a miracle in disguise. Totally enchanted, Lifia sees the stranger as the perfect, flawless warrior. Holding her chest, the woman sighs softly, calling the young man a wonderful man. Excited, Karen cheers, saying she can't wait for the 3 days to pass to see the hero again. Noticing her older sister's dazed look, the younger one asks what she's thinking about. In Lifia's view, the black hero doesn't want to claim a reward because he already loves Karen like a daughter. Determined, the sister promises she'll get closer and closer to the stranger to try and win him over. Suddenly, the woman starts scheming a crazy plan to invade the guy's new villa. Smiling maliciously, Lifia knows her father would have a heart attack if he knew her intentions. Because of the knight's absurd power, the Duke would never allow a romance with the armored hero. Full of curiosity, Lifia wonders how her father would react if he discovered all this interest she has in the savior. At that same moment, at the inn's door, the owner lets out a loud, chilly sneeze. Totally depressed, the man laments that he'll never see the kid's face around there again. Surprising the old man, the MC says he didn't come to the tavern all night because he was wiped out. Already devouring a monstrous breakfast, the warrior seems more relaxed. With his mouth full, he reassures the owner, promising to come back whenever he's hungry because of the good food. Happy with the compliment, the man smiles, proud of his own cooking. Excited about their friendship, The old man swears the tavern door will always be open for whenever he wants to drop by. Curious, the owner asks where the hero plans to spend his next few nights in the city. Quickly, the kid drops his fork and says he got a house and will be living there for a while. With wide eyes, the owner freezes, trying to understand the young man's answer. Casually, the boy says the Duke himself gave him the property as a gift. Almost choking on air, the man shouts in disbelief at his friend's absurd luck. In shock, he remembers the guards really wanted to thank him, but giving him a mansion was just insane. Utterly astonished, the owner warns that getting a villa from the Duke is no small thing. Not paying it much mind, the MC ignores the property's size, thinking it's all normal. But the innkeeper warns that owning land in the Empire is the true symbol of nobility's power. By the old man's logic, the Duke gave him the house so as not to lose an alliance with a top-tier hero. With a heavy gaze, the man questions who the heck this kid really is to be treated like this. Serious and focused, the owner tries to pull the truth from behind the black armor. Trembling a little, the kid assures him he's just a common guy with no secret title. Immediately, the warrior slams a heavy bag of coins on the tavern table. Surprised, the owner is startled by the sound of the treasure on the wood. Sighing, the hero confesses it's a payment for the old man helping to hide him at the inn. Refusing on the spot, the owner says he's too afraid to accept the masked man's gold. Giving an ultimatum, the MC threatens that if he doesn't take it the easy way, he'll make him take it the hard way. In reality, the kid feels really bad for making the owner lie to three world powers at once. Smiling, the old man admits he broke into a cold sweat hiding the boy from the Duke, the church, and the merchants. For a moment, the psychological pressure almost gave him a heart attack. Agreeing, the hero says he understands the old man's terror and insists he deserves the prize for maintaining his cover. To please his clientele, the hero says he wants to treat his guests the best he can. Joking, the owner retorts that the knight tried to play the humble card and failed miserably. In the end, he accepts the bag of gold with a sincere smile on his face. Saying goodbye, the man holds the boy to his promise to come back to the tavern one of these days. With an enthusiastic wave, the MC swears he'll show up whenever hunger strikes. Slamming the door, the warrior finally leaves his heady out for good. Alone in the tavern, the owner tries to relax with the extra cash. But upon opening the bag, he almost drops dead on the floor seeing the gleaming coins of pure gold. Trembling nervously, the man wonders how a commoner can walk around with a fortune like that in his backpack. Laughing at his own misfortune, the old man understands that Guy is anything but common or normal. Far away, the Holy Church Cathedral stands as a symbol of divine power. On the huge pews, the elite nuns rest after another ceremony. Teasing the younger one, the older sister pinches the girl's cheeks to get her attention. Smiling, the older nun lovingly analyzes the healed face of her sister Nina, who can see again. Sitting beside her is Marie Qualier, the highest figure and protective sister of the young woman healed by the masked man. Trying to escape the pinches, Nina complains that Marie has already done that more than 7 times today. Pretending not to care, the sister says she's doing it on purpose and will never stop. Scolding her, the younger one says her older sister's language and posture are terrible. Tugging her ear, Nina complains that crossing her legs on the pew ruins her whole holy nun persona. Coughing awkwardly, Marie corrects her posture to prevent anyone from seeing the church's leader like that. At that moment, the older one focuses her gaze and adopts a divine posture in the blink of an eye. Dazzling, she proves she knows how to pretend to be the untouchable saint when there's an audience. Immediately, Nina criticizes her sister's fakeness, who changes personalities in a flash. Defending her actions, Marie warns that ever since her younger sister regained her sight, she's become too rigid with the rules. In the woman's view, letting her guard down now and then is super healthy and wards off the stress of leadership. Exhausted with the explanation, Nina points out that her sister's breaks don't happen now and then, but every single day. Looking at the altar, Marie doesn't care about the lectures and smiles, relieved to see her younger sister so happy again. Celebrating the miracle, the woman prays, thanking for the little things her sister now enjoys. Deep down, she knows that before the kidnapping, Nina lived with a lifeless and dull expression. With a surprised sigh, Marie grumbles that the Black Knight really does unbelievable things. Full of pride, the older one remembers the guy saved her younger sister and even used the legendary potion for free. Correcting the deed, Nina says he used the divine items on all 3 hostages, not just her. With a racing heart, the younger one admits she's got a crush on the hero because of his wonderful gesture. Curious, Marie wants to know if the warrior is her younger sister's type. Laughing, the church leader says the newbie shouldn't aim so high for a hero with so many suitors. By the older one's reasoning, anyone who lavishes divine potions for free attracts rivers of easy women in the capital. Imagining the attention, Marie jokes that Nina would have hundreds of rivals in love with the armored guy. Annoyed by the teasing, the younger one puffs out her cheeks, telling her sister to be quiet. Finding the scene cute, Marie bursts out laughing at the novice's clear jealousy over the secret agent. Interrupting the fun, a nun says the church leaders need to get back to their duties now. Returning to her divine pose, Marie accepts the call and stands up. With a calm gaze, the two sisters perfectly assume the holy side of the Force. Promptly, Nina agrees to follow the older one towards the altar. With a smirk, Marie focuses on her own plans involving the miracle working warrior. Together, the Quolier sisters return to the center of the Holy Church, devoted to their mission. 3 days after the rescue, the two sisters from the church eagerly await their reunion with the Black Knight. In their memories, the armored hero remains a legendary and imposing figure. Exhausted by her heavy routine, the platinum blonde Nina sighs, collapsing onto a garden bench. Just then, the feisty Karen appears by surprise, teasing her friend for slacking off. Startled, the novice jumps up from the bench and says she's just on her break. Joking about the situation, the redhead notes it's been a while since they've seen each other, and the nun retorts that she didn't schedule a visit to come in. With a mocking little laugh, the little noble just tells her friend to relax and sit down again. Without wasting time, Karen takes her place on the bench next to the platinum blonde. In a very peaceful atmosphere, the two enjoy the shade of the trees to catch up. Curious, Nina asks why the little redhead came alone without her older sister. Straight to the point, Karen explains that Lifia is busy inside with the church people. Connecting the dots, the nun concludes that the surprise visit means the Duke's family managed to thank the hero. Full of expectation, the platinum blonde celebrates that she'll finally get to meet the savior properly. With a sly smile, the redhead reveals that her older sister has become completely obsessed with the knight. To illustrate the gossip, she says that Lifia practically lives on the black armor's lap now. According to the little noble, her sister wouldn't get off the warrior, even when complaining about a sore butt. Impressed by the story, the platinum blonde realizes the savior really does have a magnetic charm. Totally smitten, the redhead confesses he's the most wonderful person she's ever met in her life. Surprised by the strong declaration, Nina listens as her friend promises she'll understand everything when she meets him. Changing the subject, the nun wants to know what kind of absurd reward the duchy offered at the meeting. Almost begging, she asks for the details just to have a baseline of what to offer too. Justifying her curiosity, the platinum blonde explains that her own family still doesn't know what to give so as not to seem rude. With a mysterious look, Karen agrees to tell everything on the condition that her friend doesn't breathe a word to Marie. Leaning close to the novice's ear, the redhead begins to whisper the list of prizes. Right off the bat, she reveals the hero got an entire luxurious villa just for himself. Next, she mentions an astronomical amount of cash. To complete the package, the nobleman confirms they gave him the family's official seal, making it 3 gifts. Completely indignant, Nina's eyes go wide, and she asks if that was really all. By the nun's calculations, that doesn't even pay for the universal elixir used in the rescue. Trembling with embarrassment, the redhead agrees it was too little but says the family had no choice. Clueless, the platinum blonde tilts her head, processing that paltry payment. For her part, Karen swears the black warrior refused larger prizes on purpose. Refusing to believe it, the nun thinks it's a joke, because no one in this world would turn down more power and gold. With a dead serious look, the redhead remains silent, proving she's telling the absolute truth. Reinforcing her argument, the noblewoman reminds her she told her from the start about his wonderful heart. To make matters worse, she says her own father felt humiliated by the masked man's grandeur. Shocked, Nina hears that the all-powerful Duke is racking his brain on how to deal with the hero in the future. By the Lord's logic, a man who desires nothing is impossible to manipulate in a negotiation. Every time the knight's name comes up in conversation, the redhead's father loses his smile. Faced with this news, the platinum blonde deduces the savior is a true political monster to scare the Duke like that. Smiling in relief, the nun comments on the absurd luck they had to be rescued by someone so surreal. Fully agreeing, Karen points out that only a guy superior to nobility would have the guts to face the mafia. Straight up, the novice asks if Lifia really believes the knight is part of the elite Verdar. Confirming the theory, the redhead reveals her father gave strict orders never to make an enemy of the hero. Based on the facts presented, the platinum blonde realizes that rewarding an elite soldier of the Empire is an almost impossible mission. Thoughtfully, the platinum blonde notes the agent possesses a level of influence the entire church can't compete with. Recalling the meeting, Karen mentions a bizarre detail, that he seemed much happier with the coins than with the royal seal. Completely baffled, Nina freaks out, saying that makes no logical sense. After all, any mercenary can gather gold by working, but a ducal seal is impossible to buy. Basically, the crest is a perpetual free pass that guarantees the maximum protection of a wealthy family. But the nun soon understands that if he's from Vertar, the emperor himself is already his backing, making the seal useless. With sparkling eyes, the little redhead argues that he prefers cash just so he can distribute it to the poor and needy. In the noblewoman's innocent imagination, the dark warrior is an armored Robin Hood who helps the oppressed. Noticing her friend's delusion, the platinum blonde mentally agrees and comments that her sister Marie would love the masked man. Confused, the redhead doesn't understand where her friend got that conclusion so out of the blue. Full of pride, the little noble sticks her nose in the air, thinking she's the #1 expert on the hero. Breaking the mood, Nina warns her friend she has no right to judge Lifia since she's drooling over him just as much. Dying of embarrassment, the Hothid threatens to tell the knight that the nun is in love with him too. To calm things down, the platinum blonde changes the subject and celebrates that the day to meet the guy is approaching. Remembering the past, the raidhead confesses she almost had a fit when no one could find the armored giant in the city. Sincerely, the nun admits she was very scared he had been severely punished for spending the divine elixir. Raising a finger, Karen guarantees the warrior would scold her for feeling guilty. Repeating the hero's words, the redhead says he'd rather see them all enjoying their freedom instead of crying over him. Touched by the message, the platinum blonde clasps her hands in relief and thanks her for letting her know. Digging through her memory, the noblewoman says he seemed more annoyed than worried about his bosses. By Karen's analysis, he has so many successful missions under his belt that the organization wouldn't dare fire him. With a sigh, Nina agrees that this defiant attitude perfectly matches the savior's image. Together, the two conclude that the warrior is the type of man who never backs down when he knows he's right. Anxious for the meeting, the nun wants to know how much longer the masked man plans to stay in the area. Smiling, the redhead explains that he refused the dinner, saying he was busy, but promised he wouldn't disappear so soon. In the nobleman's mind, he spends the early hours on secret patrols, saving innocents in the city's alleys. Completely blushing, the novice places a hand on her chest, praising how incredibly nice the guy is. Wanting to help her friend, Karen gives a sly smile and decides to drop a golden piece of information. Whispering the secret, she reveals the hero usually has lunch every day at a simple inn called Eldie's. Immediately, the platinum blonde's face lights up, realizing she already has the perfect plan for her next lunch. Startled, the platinum blonde realizes her friend's crazy plan and despairs. Awkwardly, the novice stammers that she hasn't even thanked the hero properly to go after him like that. In the blink of an eye, the nun flees, running at top speed, leaving the redhead behind. Completely confused, the Hothid mutters if her friend is really going to abandon her there. Meanwhile, on the city streets, our Black Knight walks calmly. Soon, he pushes open the wooden door and enters his favorite inn. In his imagination, the platinum blonde was already interrogating the innkeeper about the VIP customer's schedule. Suddenly, a strange atmosphere fills the air, and the kid freezes at the door. Under intense pressure, the innkeeper tries to dodge the questions, claiming it's confidential information. But with no way out, the poor old man gives in and reveals the exact time the knight usually shows up. With a bead of sweat rolling down, the MC instantly realizes the old man was psychologically tortured. Back to the past interrogation, the novice demands to know where the warrior usually sits. Firm in her mission, the armored bodyguard deepens her voice, demanding clear answers. Terrified, the owner points forcefully to the exact table in the corner. With the menu in hand, the nun asks what the last dish the masked man devoured was. Straight to the page, the old man points to the food, and the platinum blonde orders the exact same thing. Frozen at the tavern door, the kid laments the trauma the girls caused the poor innkeeper. At that moment, he considers turning back and running because of the scary bodyguard. However, hunger speaks louder, and our warrior decides to face the beast. With heavy steps, he enters the hall, hoping the atmosphere will calm down. But hope dies quickly when he notices the death glare from the woman in armor. Desperate with the tension, the innkeeper raises his hands, asking everyone to calm down. With the pressure through the roof, the masked man tries to act natural so as not to make things worse. In complete silence, he walks right past the two women, praying not to be noticed. Focused on his own destination, the boy plays dumb and heads straight for the counter. As soon as he sits, the warrior woman fixes her eyes on the hero's back. Frozen with dread, the kid wonders why silence has suddenly taken over the tavern. Without letting her guard down, the armed woman tells the platinum blonde to stay put and receives a nervous highs. Soon, heavy footsteps echo across the wooden floor, heading in the hero's direction. Like a saving angel, the old man from the tavern rushes to the counter, pretending to serve the customer quickly. In his ear, the owner thanks the guy for being there, promising the best food in the house. But the piece is short-lived as the novice stops behind him, wanting the giant's attention. Sideways, the knight turns his head, trying to keep his disguise intact. Bathed in a divine aura, the girl smiles from ear to ear for finally finding him. In detail, the small golden crucifix dangles in the anxious nun's hands. Along with it, a magic pendant glitters, showing the young lady's high status in the church. With a sweet voice, she asks if the Black Knight still remembers her face. To play it cool, the kid feigns surprise, happily saying the girl's name. Melting at his response, the novice blushes, thanking him for noticing she's in good health. He then turns to the scowling warrior and asks her to relax a bit with the innkeeper. At that moment, the bodyguard gets the message and apologizes for her aggressive posture. Quickly, the old man tries to smooth things over, waving his hands in the air and forgiving the woman. Back to the conversation, the masked man compliments her nun's habit, admitting he almost didn't recognize her. With a graceful twirl, the platinum blonde asks if the uniform suits her. Behind his visor, the boy agrees, thinking the look will be perfect when she's older. Smiling, the girl thanks him for the compliment, and the hero understands the weight of having saved someone from the top brass. Without ceremony, the novice takes a step forward, closing the distance between them. Alert to the movement, the bodyguard watches closely without interfering. Faced with this exaggerated proximity, the kid backs up a bit, uncomfortable. To break the ice, he asks how the girl's vision is after the miraculous cure. Almost touching the helmet, the platinum, blonde fixes her eyes on the metal and replies that her vision is impeccable. Suspicious, he holds up his fingers to test the girl, and she gets the count right without blinking. Deep down, the boy breaks into a sincere smile, relieved to see the mission successfully completed. Full of emotion, the nun confesses the joy of being able to see her own family's faces after so many years. Quickly, the knight apologizes for bringing up the trauma, but she tells him to stop blaming himself. In a protective tone, the hero advises the girl to live happily, so the sacrifice was worth it. With a hand on her chest, the novice swears on her life that she will do her best every day. Soon, the innkeeper arrives, cutting the mood with steaming plates on a tray. In moments, the table is filled with good food, with eggs, meat, and vegetables for everyone. Startled by the mountain of food, the MC asks if the girl really ordered the giant portion. In a good mood, the hero warns that it's a lot for the novice to handle at once. With a silly smile, she admits she came to the inn specifically to try the same dish he eats. Thinking fast, the boy understands the sudden whims of curious girls. Calmly, he assures her that if she can't eat it all, the team will help clear the table later. In a perfect chorus, the bodyguard and the nun thank the Black Knight for his kindness. Without ceremony, the masked man tells the two to start their attack before the meal gets cold. On the plate, the perfect fried egg and juicy meat shine, catching everyone's attention. Respecting their sacred origins, the two join their hands in a quick prayer. Right after the platinum, blonde takes her first eager bite. Immediately, her face lights up with happiness, praising the incredible flavor of the seasoning. Satisfied with her reaction, the kid agrees that the old man at the tavern has the best touch in the kitchen. Out of nowhere, the innkeeper slams a wooden mug on the table with force, trying to act tough. Confused by the bravado, the warrior finds it strange, but the old man quietly confesses he did it to ward off his fear. Looking sheepish, the hero realizes the owner's entire act was his own fault. To cap off the scene, the novice giggles, commenting on the pair's funny friendship. In a lighthearted tone, our MC comments that the two get along very well. At that, the innkeeper complains, sweating nervously, that the masked man never talks about his own high society connections. Soon, the platinum, blonde joins the conversation, agreeing that dealing with secretive people is a very difficult task. At that very moment, the old man realizes his mistake and freezes in terror for having spoken so informally to nobility. Almost having a heart attack, he tries to fix his blunder, switching to a super formal tone and choking on his words in his desperation. Not letting the situation slide, the kid points out the slip-up, warning that the guy completely lost his composure and slipped back into casual speech. Immediately, the hero turns to the bodyguard and asks her to ignore the innkeeper's mistake just this once. In a firm voice, the armored warrior agrees to a truce, stating she'll turn a blind eye as long as the novice doesn't feel offended. With a sweet smile, Nina assures him she's not the least bit upset. On the contrary, the girl even asks the old man to speak more freely, just like the Black Warrior. With comical tears streaming down his face, the poor owner begs to be spared from this crazy idea and so much psychological pressure. Amused by the chaos, our MC confesses he finds the old man's stiff reaction very funny. Annoyed by the teasing, the man shouts that any normal person would react with fear, and that the masked man is the weirdo in this story. Back to the meal, the nun begins to calmly slice the meat and fried egg with her knife, taking a break from the chatter. But suddenly the mood changes completely, and she apologizes for asking such a direct question out of the blue. Caught off guard by the sudden tension, the two men stare at the girl in silence as she says she has something very serious to ask. With the magic pendant glowing in her hands, the girl reveals that her free time outside the church is quite limited. Up close, the golden jewel shimmers intensely, emitting sparks of light and showing the full weight of the divine responsibility the novice carries in her heart.